Hi, I'm Katie Calkin, Community Health Educator with Piedmont Athens Regional. This is the first of 4 sessions for Courage to Quit. My contact information is here and in the video information if you'd like to work on your action steps in between watching the videos. We can work over Zoom or phone or email. So today, we're going to start with the first session, and then the next one will be about making a quit plan. Third session is about taking care of stress. Stress is usually the thing that keeps people from quitting and most often brings people back to using nicotine, even when they've been quit for a significant amount of time. So we'll spend some time talking about stress. In the fourth session, we'll add a few more stress management strategies, and we'll talk about staying quit long term. So as you work through this, you're working on quitting in your own way, your own timeline. It looks different for every person. So today we're going to spend a few moments on nicotine addiction. We'll talk about tools that can help ease withdrawal, psychological addiction, so the way mentally, emotionally quitting can be challenging, and that's the life work that you'll do as part of quitting. And then set an action step. Again, I can work with you on that if you'd like. And we'll always do some guided relaxation. And throughout the weeks, I'll reinforce why we do that guided relaxation. It really matters for our brain chemistry and the parts of our brain that are working for us for quitting, that we have some of that guided relaxation as stress management strategies. So you can see here in this drawing over on the left, when you smoke or vape, it takes about 7 seconds for nicotine to go from the lungs to the brain. It takes a little bit longer if you're getting a nicotine through your cheek with smokeless tobacco. And then in the middle, it crosses the blood-brain barrier, and there are receptors for nicotine. And when the nicotine attaches to those, you can see on the right, it releases some neurotransmitters. So it releases some dopamine, which gives you a mood lift, and some adrenaline, which gives you some energy and focus. So it's a really nice drug. And if it didn't have harmful side effects, then it would be something that we could all do, like when we have a cup of coffee. And it becomes something that our brain likes to have. Again, 7 seconds, adrenaline, energy, focus, dopamine for the mood lift. And when those levels of nicotine decrease, we have cravings. And so that can happen a few minutes to a few hours after you finish getting nicotine, that your brain says, hey, that was really nice. I would like to have that again. And you start to become dependent on that. You start to have cycles of craving, wanting the nicotine, anticipating it, and using the nicotine, and then starting that over again. And when you use nicotine, you're getting relief from the craving. It's not necessarily enjoyment. Sometimes when people say, I enjoy using vaping, I enjoy my chew, I enjoy smoking, but when they really examine it, they realize what they like is getting relief from that craving. Sometimes the rituals of using nicotine are enjoyable as well. We'll come back to that in talking about stress management, because oftentimes you can keep some of the ritual without using the nicotine. So managing cravings and quitting nicotine, it's about learning skills. It's not about character traits. It's not about whether you're a good person, a strong person, whether you have willpower. It's about spending time and energy, putting intention on learning new skills and becoming comfortable with a new way of living. Especially if you've used nicotine before you were an adult, it can take a while to get really comfortable being a non-nicotine user. We'll talk more about cravings next week. So sometimes people use nicotine replacement therapy, patch, gum, or lozenge as a support for quitting. And it has the same drug, has the same nicotine. So it's the same effect on the brain. You're getting some adrenaline, you're getting some dopamine. So you're getting what your brain is looking for, but you can taper down the amount to decrease the withdrawal symptoms. So you can start, there's 3 steps of the patch, and the box will tell you which step, which milligram level, depending on how much you are vaping or smoking. And the gum has 2 different levels, and you can cut the gum down. So you can cut the gum into smaller and smaller pieces. So you can really taper down off the nicotine while you're practicing your new life skills, while you're practicing your new rituals, your new ways of coping with stress, your new habits. Sometimes people will say the patch didn't work for me. And when I hear that, I want to remind you, if you are thinking that from past experiences, that the patch's job is literally just to replace nicotine. You're just getting nicotine in a different way. Your job is to practice the new habits and new coping skills. And often that life work is the hard part about quitting. So completely different approach to quitting is to use Chantix. And that is a prescription. It's not right for everyone's brain chemistry. So it's important to talk to your healthcare provider about that. You take it with a meal and a glass of water. That tends to help reduce side effects. And you start taking it 7 days before you quit. And what it does is it saturates those nicotine receptors. So it sits in those receptors in the brain. And then when you smoke, you're not getting your drug. It does release a little bit of dopamine for mood support. So it does help keep mentally, emotionally a little smoother while you're quitting. Just like the patch gum lozenge, sometimes people say Chantix didn't work for me. And Chantix work is blocking those brain receptors. You still have the same work, practicing new habits and coping skills. Sometimes people realize that they're using nicotine to help with anxiety or depression, or when they quit using nicotine, they realize they had been self-medicating with nicotine for anxiety or depression. If either of those is true for you, then Wellbutrin or Zyban can be a possible option to help. That's by prescription as well. All drugs have side effects, and a helpful side effect of Wellbutrin is that it can reduce nicotine cravings for many people. So again, if you have anxiety or depression, or you begin to taper, or you quit completely and you realize you have some unmanaged anxiety or depression, this could be something to talk to your healthcare provider about. So you might quit full stop, cold turkey. You're smoking, vaping, chewing your regular amount, and the next day you're at 0. Or you may taper. So you may decide you want to reduce the number of times you use nicotine, the amount of nicotine you use over days or weeks. Sometimes people do a really slow taper over months. You want to have a plan when you taper so that you're not getting stalling, you're not procrastinating. You want it to be an intentional taper. And again, you can tailor that to whatever slow release of the nicotine, whatever letting go of little bits at a time helps you practice your new habits, your new coping skills, your new rituals, while not creating anxiety. So you're still using nicotine. You don't have to be anxious about that, but you are reducing the amount slowly over time. Sometimes people will let go of the easiest ones, the ones where they light it and they didn't even realize that they've done it. It's just mindless. They'll let go of those first and keep those more important ones that mean more to them. They'll work on their new ways of supporting themselves without nicotine over time and then release those later. So tapering can be a good option. Delaying means extending the amount of time in between cigarettes, and you can do that at any time of day. So it might be that you smoke before your feet hit the floor. So you might wait half an hour before you have your first cigarette. It might be that you vape immediately after lunch. So you might just do something new, brush your teeth, talk to a friend, take a walk, do some chores, get engaged in a work thing, and then vape later on. So you're starting to separate nicotine from the immediate triggers. So cold turkey, tapering, delaying, there's no right or wrong. Everyone has to figure out what is right for them. All right, so the mind is powerful. And so again, this life work is really important. So new coping skills, often that's stressful, negative emotions, but sometimes it's celebration and happy times that we have to work on coping with. So any intense things, work on coping with those without nicotine. Nicotine can be a companion. It can feel the lonely, bored places in life. And so sometimes that is where life work is around quitting. And it can be a habit, be built into so many of your movements, that's automatic things that you're not even aware of. So working on creating those new habits that can feel really uncomfortable and awkward at first will smooth out and become your new normal. And this is the key. This is the part that's really key to quitting and staying quitting. So you want to start thinking about, what does it look like for someone who doesn't use nicotine? What does their life look like? One person I worked with said he pretended he was making a movie of his life, and if someone watched it, would they know that he used nicotine? Would they know that he used to use nicotine recently? And trying to change all of his patterns to make it where the people watching that movie would have no idea he'd ever used nicotine. So that could be one image to think of when you are looking at these different pieces of life work. And we'll talk more about this next week when we talk about making a quit plan, all the different pieces that can go into this. So you have options for an action step, and I do encourage you to set an action step in between watching these sessions. And again, I would be happy to talk with you about what's the best action step for you. So one is to possibilities to know all your triggers. And so you can keep a list. You can keep a piece of paper, pencil with your nicotine and write down, the time of day, where you were, what are you doing, who are you with, how are you feeling, and rate those uses of nicotine as 1, I don't really want it, I didn't even know this, I started using it, to 5, it's the worst craving I can imagine. I was about to die if I didn't get it. And then you can see all the different places where you have that life work to do, the coping, the companion, and the habit, and which ones might be easier than others to let go of. And the reason is that some of your triggers you already know, but some are less obvious. And the reward system in the brain, so that dopamine system that makes us feel good, it has a lot of unconscious autopilot behaviors. And when you bring those to your conscious mind, then you can be around them less. You can plan to experience them less often, and that will help decrease the frequency and intensity of your cravings. So knowing your triggers and then making a plan for being around them less is really important. And we'll get into depth on this with the quit plan, but this is a good time to get in touch with all of your triggers. Another option is to think about why you want to quit. So you might know why you need to quit, why you have to quit, why you should quit. But people who want to quit for themselves, with what they want for their life, for their future, those are the folks who quit and stay quit. So getting in touch with why you want to quit is really important. What you want for you, not what other people want. So being specific about what you want for your life, you could write, you could draw, you could visualize it. Sometimes people like to put a reminder where they can see it regularly and be thinking about what actions bring you towards this life that you want. And so a gain mindset is more motivating than a loss mindset. So when you're thinking about what you want to think about what you're gaining. So an example would be, I want to walk to my mailbox without struggling to breathe. And that is more motivating than, if I don't quit, I might die of COPD. It's really important to have the facts about our health, but when you're trying to increase your motivation for quitting, can really help to think about what you are going to get. Visualize what you want for your life and visualize the benefits that you're going to get. So option 3 is to set your own action step. It could be around tapering, delaying. It could be talking to your healthcare provider about Chantix or Wellbutrin. It could be checking out patch gum lozenge. There's no right or wrong. It really can help to have some support. So if you want to be in touch with me by phone, Zoom, email, then we can do that to figure out what's the best step for you, and to have some accountability if it helps you to check in with someone and let them know whether you did it or not. So this again is my information. I also can email you a booklet that spells out everything that we've talked about today, so that you have that in writing. And let's do some guided relaxation. So when we do relaxation, when we just pay attention to our breath, when we invite our body to relax, we are releasing some dopamine. So that's part of what the brain is looking for when it's craving nicotine. And we're lighting up the frontal cortex of the brain. That's the executive function part of the brain. That's the part of the brain that says, what do I want for my future? What is my goal? How can I get there? What are the baby steps? And keeps you moving on that path. So that executive function part of the brain keeps us moving towards the life we want. And so doing that guided relaxation can help. We'll talk in class 3 about how it affects our stress response as well. So I'm going to close my eyes in a moment, but before, and I invite you to do that too, but before we do that, let me just show you what I mean when I'm going to talk about our hands. We're going to do some fingertip breathing. So we're going to bring our thumbs and pinkies together, or they don't have to touch. They can just get near each other, but if they touch, that's great. And we'll take a breath in and out here, and then we'll do our thumb and our ring. We'll move to the middle, we'll move to the index, and then you'll keep going through those. So you'll do a breath in and a breath out, which with each of those fingertip movements. And that can give your hands something to do if you're craving that hand to mouth nicotine use. So I invite you to sit with both feet on the floor, shoulders over your hips rather than crunched forward, so your lungs have room to breathe. Soften your gaze in front of you, or if you're comfortable with it, close your eyes. And we'll start with a few exaggerated breaths. So breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth like a sigh. And after your next exhale, go back to breathing comfortably, softly, easily in and out through your nose. Not trying to force deep breaths, but keep your belly soft and at ease so it can move with each breath. And then turn your attention to your forehead. Let your forehead smooth out. Notice the muscles in between the eyebrows. Let them be at ease. Soften around the eyes and the cheeks. Let go of any tension in the jaw so your bottom teeth float. Next breath out, soften skin of face and scalp even more. Your exhales remind your shoulder blades to melt down your back. Tension drains out of your arms like sand pouring from a sack. Let go of any gripping in the low back, glutes, legs. Let tension drain down through the soles of your feet. And then turn the attention of your mind back to the movement of your breath. And turn your palms up in your lap. And we'll bring the thumb and pinky together. Take a breath in and a breath out. Then your thumb and ring finger breathing in, breathing out. Thumb and middle. When ready, thumb and first finger. And then go back again, starting with the pinky, taking a breath in and a breath out with each finger touch at your own pace. And take a big exaggerated breath in, out through your mouth like a sigh. Do that 2 more times. Everything getting bigger, fuller, everything softening, being more at ease. And after that third exhale, you can open your eyes. All right, so feel free to be in touch with me. I can send you that booklet chapter so you can have the things that we've talked about in writing. We can work on an action step together. I can just help you with some accountability, just so you're telling someone what you're going to do and reporting back that you're doing it. People often work on action steps for a week or so at a time, but when you're ready, you can move on to Courage to Quit session 2. All right, thanks. Take care.